Hey friends, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and everyone's favorite TikTok, and also Reddit. Check us out there.
We're all over the place.
Yeah, you'll find us. Just look for us.
Yeah, leave us a rating and a review on your favorite podcast provider, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are super important. They help grow the channel. So thank you for all of you who've done that so far. But let's get into it. CFL, NFL, no NBA. Let's start with the Winnipeg Jets and the NHL playoffs. I like that look. Jets squeaking into the playoffs, get a first-round matchup with the Vegas Golden Knights. You know, Connor Hellebuyck's going to be there. He's the best goalie in the series, top 3 goalie. So if we put him aside, what do the Jets need to do to beat the Knights?
Yeah, for me, biggest thing right off the bat would be special teams.
Yeah,
that power play needs to get kicking. You know, it needs to get back to where it was earlier in the season. I mean, it wasn't fantastic or lights out at that point, but it was getting goals here and there. And they kind of got back to it late in the season here with throwing Ehlers onto that number 1 unit, different bit of a look, and they started clicking a little bit more close to the end of the season. So if they can get that going a bit more, Vegas penalty kill wasn't great. It was in the 70%, I think. So
yeah, bottom half.
Yeah, so you got to take advantage of that opportunity, right? And then special teams is big in the playoffs to me. So you got to click, and you need those goals. Penalty kill was good for the Jets all season. It's got to continue in this series to be good.
Yeah, their power play is ranked 20th right now. They're performing below 20%. They have to be better.
Yeah.
And when you do get a penalty against Vegas, because I think they're the least penalized team in the league, they're down there. They have 60 less penalties than the Jets.
Yeah.
So when you do get a penalty against Las Vegas, you do have to put those in the net. Like you said, they got to score on the power play. They got to make those count every time they have one.
And most teams that make a good run in the playoffs have 2 things, right? They got a goalie that's playing well and elite kind of level, and then they got a power play or special teams that is clicking. And you need that, especially because games in the playoffs are tight. They're tight checking.
Absolutely.
And there's usually not a lot of penalties called, as we can see most of the time, right? This is when
let them play.
Yeah, let them play. This is when the refs forget how to ref, and they're just like let everything go, let the clutching go, the holding go, the 20 cross checks after the whistle. So
they got to call the clutching and the holding. We know that's not going to flow, but they are going to let a bit of the after the whistle jamming, and they're going to let that happen. I think that's to the Jets' advantage, actually. To be honest with you, you mentioned Ehlers. Ehlers is one of my factors that they need to really get going. They have the free Ehlers. He's the key to opening up the Jets offense, especially against Las Vegas, who also leads the league in block shots. So you need someone like Ehlers to carry the puck in, open up the ice, use his speed. Like, his speed is frustrating to the best defenders in the league. So they have to take advantage of that, free him up. If he has the freedom to open him up the ice, and it'll get guys out of position where they can't be either there to block a shot or they won't be there to block a pass and leave someone else for an open shooting lane. So they got a free Ehlers.
Yeah, and like the battles or the matchups may be like Vegas's first line against the Lowry line, and then Scheifele line against the third line of Vegas, which includes Mark Stone in that. So it may be up to those second lines of both teams who are probably going to play against each other to get the most goals and be a deciding factor in this series. So yeah, Ehlers, he'll have to step up. You know what? This is a great time for him to come out of the shadows a bit, you know, and to prove that he is one of the top players on the Jets or even in the league, you know, and if he can have a wicked series here, the Jets have a great chance, but they'll need him to step up. And so far him, Wheeler and Nemestikov have looked pretty good together.
Yeah. And hopefully he's not hurt. Hopefully there's nothing that really slows him down, because him without his speed and without the confidence of using that speed, I'm not saying he's ineffective on the ice, but he's not going to be a great decoy.
No, and he had a good, strong finish to the season, came on strong and looked like he was coming back maybe from, I don't know if the hernia surgery and injury affected him all season, because he didn't seem like himself at all times this year.
How many games did he play? Like 45, 46?
Not even. Was it that many even? Maybe. Yeah.
Ish.
So,
but yeah, if he can get his game going, like Las Vegas does not have, what have they have, like 4 or 5 starting goalies this year so far? Brossois is the starting goalie. So they don't have the strongest of goaltending. They so depend on those block shots and not being able to harass the goalie. So if they can get into Brossois' face and head, I think that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, and then if you're bringing in, because right now Aiden Hill, Logan Thompson, I believe, are both hurt, so you're going to Jonathan Quick. So who hasn't been the greatest over the last few seasons, and even coming into playing with Vegas, his numbers weren't great. I mean, I think he was still over 3 goals against average. They had a decent winning percentage or win record with 5-2-2 or something like that. But
yeah,
that's because Vegas is also a good team. So you can overcome some goaltending issues sometimes.
Did you say they're going with Quick and not Brossoit?
No, sorry. I'm saying if you can get to Brossoit and get Brossoit out of the net,
I got you.
Quick's not a better option to me right now anyways. So if you can chase Brossoit out, you got a pretty good chance to also chase Jonathan Quick out of there too.
Absolutely. Was Ehlers also another one of your factors in the Jets beating the Kings?
No, but to me, it would be, not Ehlers, but the top line. Yeah. That top line of Dubois, Kyle Connor, and Mark Scheifele have to figure it out. And they played well once they were put together. But there's still moments where you're looking at them going, wow, what are they doing out there? Especially Kyle Connor to me sometimes, like with his lazy one-handed stick check and not battling for pucks along the boards. It's like when that guy is battling and he's making his turns down low and all that stuff, he could be a dominant player.
Yeah.
And then even on the power play, just goals. Like he loves to score goals, and he was very good at that earlier in the year, last season and all that. And he just had a slump. And now it was just goals here and there. And that's part of the power play too. If Kyle Connor can get going and start getting goals, it'll help that power play. So, and they're going to face a tough battle against Mark Stone probably. So,
do you think he's going to be back to it? Because he had serious back issues.
He's back.
I know, but he's had physical back issues. Do you think he can be a factor as people believe he will be?
I mean, we'll definitely find out for sure. He is a big guy though, right? And he can definitely he can be a pain in the butt on the ice. We'll see if he can get back to any level that he was before the surgeries and all that.
Yeah,
but I'm not counting the guy out right now. I'll have to wait and see for game 1 tomorrow night and see where that goes.
Yeah, he's not a spring chicken, and that's a lot of back injuries in the past few years. So
amazing that he could be back for the playoffs, though.
Yeah, LTIR, brilliant. Brilliant. I'm sure he's been rehabbing for a while. So are there any questions that linger? Well, there's lots of questions, obviously, that linger in Jets Nation's mind going into the playoffs. Let's just rattle off a couple. One of mine would be, obviously, can they sustain the play they've had in the last 7-8 games? I don't want to sound like an ill-informed mouth breather by saying this, but to be honest with you, I'm more concerned about what the Jets do to themselves than what the Knights might do to the Jets. I think as roster, they match very well. Other than Stone maybe being the apparent, bonus player that puts them over the edge, and he might not be 100%. I think on roster-wise, they match pretty nicely. So I just want to see them maintain that last 7-8 games, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it on paper and you look through all the stats and all that, and these two teams were not that far off from each other. Really, the biggest difference is that Vegas was able to cobble together more wins, a few more wins than the Jets. And those are a lot of them in overtime. Like I think in the regular time or whatever, they were pretty close. Their power plays were close. The penalty kills were fairly close. Jets a little bit better. Goals per game and all that stuff against were just almost identical, but Vegas did beat the Jets 3 times this season. So, you got that factor in there a little bit, and the Jets just, to me, they got to bring the pressure. They have to pressure that Vegas D and continue that and not fall back and keep going, and then when the Jets play the best in this bonus system is when their forecheck is on top of it. Yeah. And then it's not just a Lowry line forechecking. It's the top line, it's the second line, it's the fourth line. They're all doing it and they're all moving. So Vegas plays a bit of a 1-2-2 kind of system where their forechecking as well can, get to you pretty good. And the Jets have to weather that storm, and they're going to have to move the puck pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Please. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, the Jets, again, we know the Jets, they got a bit smaller defensemen, right? Vegas is going to try and take advantage of that. And bring the pressure to them. Maybe lots of hits out there, but we'll see if the Jets can move it.
They've been very good defensively this year. Yeah. That's one thing I'm not very concerned about. Obviously, if they get broken open or if there are injuries, then it might be a concern. But defensive play in regards to Bonus's system, just because you mentioned Bonus earlier, I think they've been very consistent on that. And that's actually not a concern of mine or a question that I have going into the series.
No, yeah. And they've given up the 10th fewest goals in the league, the Jets, so far this season. So, big change. Obviously, a big part of that is Connor Hellebuck. And to me, he's, like you said before, like we didn't even talk about him, but he's your main story, right? If he can play to the same level, he should give the Jets advantage in net. So now the Jets have to take advantage of that. If Hellebuck's stopping 40 shots, you got to get to Brassard, even if you're only getting 20 to 30 shots, right? You have to make those chances count, and you got to test Brassard out early in these games and see what he can do. The guy's never really been a starter before. He's never started in the playoffs.
No, that's big.
So the pressure is there, and now you're facing probably one of the best goalies in the league on the other side. So the pressure is on Brassard to have. He doesn't have to be better than Hellebuck. He just has to be good enough, right?
Yeah.
For them to win. So we'll see.
And Vegas is not a team that scores many goals. Like, don't get me wrong. They're a strong system-led team. But the Jets, if score 3 goals a game. Score 3 goals and they'll be in really good shape. The Winnipeg Jets in their last 10, when they've scored 3 goals, are 8-2. The losses being to Carolina when they lost 5-3 and when they lost to Edmonton 7-5. So if they can score 3 goals, with Hellebuck and net, like you say, I think they're in very good shape.
Yeah, Vegas was pretty rounded, like their scores and their points. Like they had a lot of players with even over 10 goals. They had, I think, at least 13 guys with over 10 goals. So they got a lot from every player almost. Like Eichel led the team. I think he was in the 60s for points, but he missed about 15 games or so. And then after that, there's a couple other guys who played the full 80 that were around the 50, 60 point mark as well. But they had a lot of guys in that range. So they get a lot of scoring from everywhere.
Yeah.
And we've talked a lot about the Jets. Their bottom 6 was not chipping in any goals. And until the last 10 games when Lowry, Niederreiter, and Appleton started to chip in some more. So they got to keep that going as well. And I want to see Lowry, the same Lowry that we've seen for the last 10, 15 games.
And of course, I don't want to compare the 18 team that played the Predators and the Knights in the Western Conference Final. I don't want to compare the teams, but that team also had a great third line. I can't remember who was on that line. Perreault, who else? Maybe Tana.
Armia was still around.
Armia. No? If anyone knows exactly who's that third line, remember they were lights out and they took out their primary line. And this third line here very much reminds me of them, just bigger and faster, maybe.
Yeah, and they got to take Eichel out of the game. I'm not saying dirty wise or injury wise or anything like that, but smother him, shut him down. The guy's never played a playoff game yet. This is his first playoff game coming up tomorrow night. Yeah. So show him what playoff hockey is. Be tough, be physical, especially the guys on D. Dylan and Schmidt. Remember Sherrod from a couple of years, like when we had him too, but even in Montreal, when we played that series against Montreal, he was a pain in the ass. After the whistle, before, like everything around that. Dylan and Schmidt have to be those guys. Yeah,
I totally agree with you. And that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, because if you give Eichel a few shots after the whistle in front of the net or cross checks or whatever, like we say, the refs are probably going to let that stuff go.
Yeah. And he's not going to want to stick around.
No, you wear him down and you get him scared to go to the front of the net. So
absolutely. Oh, there's a pathway to win this one. So let's talk about first rounders. There's a pathway.
Hold on. What do you think of the times of these games for the Jets in Winnipeg?
Oh, don't get me started. Actually, you did get me started because you asked the question. It's stupid. The Jets never get the advantage in scheduling at any point in time, and not even the playoffs. We can't even get our time zone. Why did you ask me that question?
Because you know what? It like you say, yes, the team that finished first gets the advantage of the first 2 home games and whatever times they may be. We're playing at 8:30 Central Time, right? So in Vegas. Now you come home to Winnipeg and you get a game at 3:00 on a Saturday afternoon and then a game at 8:30. Who's that helping? That's helping Vegas more than it's helping the Jets. And you're on the Jets home ice. So to me, it doesn't make sense. And I get it. We're playing the same day as the Leafs or whatever, but you're not helping the Jets out. And to me, that's an advantage for Vegas that they're playing mainly in their right time zone area or whatever. So
absolutely
frustrating.
Absolutely. And it's not surprising.
Yeah.
Not surprising at all. So let's talk about that first round. We're already talking about the Knights and the Jets. So who you got in this first round?
I can see this going actually 7 just because they're very close in team wise and stat wise and all that stuff. But unfortunately, I am taking Vegas and I'm picking them in 6. I don't know. Are we picking games or are we just picking winners here? But I think Vegas will take it unless Helly can ultimately steal it.
Why are you wearing that jersey, bro?
I'm still a fan of the team, man. I'm just making a prediction on it.
I get you. I'm going to be a homeboy. I'm going to be a fan. I'm going to go with the Jets. I like the way they've been playing, and I believe in Connor Hellebuck. I think he's a difference maker, like you mentioned earlier, and I think it'll go Jets in 6. Colorado, Seattle. I'm going to go with Colorado. they've overcome injuries over the season. They still don't have Landeskog, but that doesn't seem like a main concern. Top 10 defense, top 10 offense. Still got McKinnon. I can't bet against the champs, so I'm going to go Avalanche in this one.
I'm picking the Avalanche as well. The unfortunate thing for them is Landeskog is out for the whole playoffs, so that may affect them later on, against tougher games. But I think Seattle being their first time in the playoffs, I think Colorado, with their experience and their firepower, will take them down.
Dallas, Minnesota, who you got?
Yeah, this might be the most boring series of the whole first round of the playoffs, but I'm going to take Dallas.
I agree. Dallas is going to win this. They have a better goalie. They have more depth, and the coach is better. Because I'm not a fan of Minnesota's coach. Just trash. Dallas to win. Why are you laughing? Oilers and Kings. This could be the most interesting series in the first round. Knights and Jets aside. Surprised I haven't called the Knights Kings yet. Good for me.
Yeah, you're doing well there.
Still got time. Oilers and Kings. I got the Oilers going into this playoff series just blazing hot. 9-0-1 in their last 10. They won the last two matchups against the Kings, so I'm going to go with the Oilers.
Yeah, I'm picking the Oilers as well. Just with the firepower, McDavid, Draisaitl, and Stuart Skinner. And their D is actually playing really well, too, without Colm back there. And Stuart Skinner has played well. We'll see if he can handle the pressure of the playoffs being a rookie, but I think Edmonton will take this one.
All right, let's go to the East. Boston, Florida, who you got?
I can't go against Boston in this one. I am interested to see some of these games and see what happens with Marchand and Kachuk on the ice together, maybe. But Boston should take this one. They already took game one tonight, so.
Oh, I'm going with Boston. I'm taking Boston because they're the best team that I've probably ever seen play.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I saw the Oilers play, but I was 5, 6, 7 years old. Like, this is probably the best team I've seen play in a while.
Well, you'd have some Canadian fans from back in the 70s debate you on that one. Obviously, we weren't around for some of those teams, but
this is the best team I've ever seen play.
But you'll still have them come out of the woodwork.
Whatever. Toronto. Oh, who do you got? Oh, you already said
Boston. Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
Toronto, Tampa Bay. Who do you got?
I got Toronto. We said it a couple of weeks ago or whatever when we talked about it. I think Toronto finally gets over the hump. Really, it's now or never for the Leafs. They got to win.
Yeah.
They lose. I'm sure they're cleaning house again. So, and they got Ryan O'Reilly in there for his playoff experience and his toughness. So let's see if he can get back to that St. Louis form.
Yeah, I'm a Leafs fan, so I'm cheering for them anyways. But for the sake of what are the chances they lose in the first round again? I'm totally going to say less than 50%. So I'm going to go with the Leafs. Carolina, New York Islanders. I'm going to go with the Canes in this one. They're proven, they're rugged, too good, and I think they have one of the best coaches in the league. I love Rob Brind'Amour, so I'm going to go with the Canes.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that one. I'm going to go with Carolina as well. They got a lot of firepower, some wicked D, and I think they're going with Antti Ranta to start, and they also got Frederik Andersen there. So if Ranta fails or anything like that, so they got a very solid team.
Yeah, I can't remember the Isles goalie, Sam
Sorokin,
not bad either.
Which, I mean, Carolina won tonight, but I think Sorokin had over 40 saves, so
not bad
in a 2-1 game. So,
who do you have in the New Jersey New York Rangers series?
I like this series. I think the series will be a good series. New Jersey's got a very good team, but I still think too young, up and coming. So we'll see in the future how well they do. But I'm going to go with the Rangers and their veteran presence and their goaltending.
I also am going to go with the Rangers. Too big, too fast, too experienced, and Shesterkin.
Yeah.
New Jersey's not a bad team, but they're not the Rangers. Stanley Cup Final prediction and champion? Yeah, let's do that. Want to do that now?
Yeah, I'm gonna give out what we predicted before the season started. Who we thought would make it. I took Colorado versus Carolina.
Yeah.
So that's still a possibility. You also took Carolina, but your West choice was Calgary.
Well, that's not who I took now.
So that's not happening
this time around.
But I'm going to change up mine a little bit. I am actually going to go. Yeah, I'm going with Boston in the East. I can't go against them right now at all. Just the way they've played in the regular season and everything like that. And I know for the most part that doesn't usually translate to playoff success. But I think Boston was just really good, and I think they'll be able to take care of that East. And they're going to play Edmonton in the West, from the West, which I think the West is a wide open conference right now. And if there's any time for Edmonton to do it, this is the year that they got actually getting some decent D play. They got McDavid, Draisaitl, and getting good goaltending. So we'll see, but I'm banking on Edmonton making the Cup final.
I have Boston and Colorado in this one. Like Boston, they're just juggernauts. I also was thinking of the Oilers, but I have the Oilers having a tough time against the Kings even. There's just something about them in the playoffs that doesn't seem right. Playing the same team with night off in between maybe, and sometimes you're traveling. I don't think this is a format for the Oilers, so that's why I went with Colorado.
This has got to be the Oilers. If anything, you're an Oiler fan. I mean, this has got to be it, right? This is your best chance to do this. But like you say, anything can happen, of course. But they've played so well. Their D as well. Ekholm, that trade is looking pretty good so far. So I do think at the end of it that the Bruins will win the cup. They'll end up beating Edmonton, get revenge for those 90s losses or 88 too as well. So, but yeah, ultimately my Stanley Cup champion. For me, Colorado, not taking Colorado like I did earlier, like in my preseason prediction, is just Landeskog out. I think, unfortunately, not having that firepower will affect them throughout a long playoff run.
Maybe. Hasn't so far. They've already galvanized without him, so I don't know. Before we move on from NHL talk, put your first round playoff predictions. Put them all if you want in the comments section. We ain't going to stop you. But let's talk about some Winnipeg Jets stuff. Jets season ticket marketing campaign causing a bit of a buzz in Jets Nation, especially on Twitter. Jeez. Ooh.
Isn't there always a buzz on Twitter?
Yeah, but this one got people up in arms. I was a little upset too. What are your thoughts on this season ticket marketing campaign by the Winnipeg Jets?
I get they have to do it, but the timing of it and then the thinly veiled threat inside of it is just like, it's not needed. We know what kind of market this is. And for the most part, we've supported and the city and the province have supported this team, selling it out forever, since it came back right away and all that stuff. And even look now, games 3 and 4 sold out very quickly. Right. So there's no issues. You're in the playoffs. Fans will come. Fans will spend the money. But to me, I didn't like the timing of it. I didn't like that. Mark Chipman came out after and said it was more of a going after the corporate support. And I get that there's not as much corporate support in Winnipeg as there is in other cities in Canada for their teams. But maybe start with that or something, right? But don't threaten the team's going to go if we don't support them.
Yeah. I think a lot of the overaction was people taking it as a threat. There's no way it's a threat at all that they're leaving the city. No. Just calm down. The guy just built a tower. Right? The guy just built a tower, kitty corner across from the arena. He's building another tower across the street. The guy wants to build Porter's Place Mall with Canada Life Center being the crown jewel of it, and the Jets filling that arena the most out of any time. That team is not going anywhere. So I think that it's an overreaction. But what was wrong is you got to read the room.
Yes.
These marketing people, like, why are you pulling on those memories at this time? It makes no sense at all. Why do we want to be thinking about the team leaving? That does not motivate people to buy season tickets at all.
No, and the thing is, you hadn't clinched a playoff spot yet, so you're still battling. There's chances are you're going to miss. So this would blow up even more in your face if the Jets had missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
why aren't they waiting a few days? They could have waited a few days to see if they made the playoffs and use that momentum to market a season ticket kickoff.
Yeah.
Say, hey, look, season ticket holders right now, you get free shots at those playoff tickets. See what happens when you're season. That's the benefits of it. But no, they played the video of Eddie Olczyk and Keith Tkachuk and people waving and our Jets boys are forever. That was horrible marketing. Whoever did that, fumble big time. It's a joke.
Well, a lot of the stuff that came out of all this stuff was from posts and comments and all that was the lack of customer support and flexibility that comes with the Jets and the season tickets. Horrible. People contacting their customer support rep and asking questions, not getting responses. Someone wanting to take over tickets from another person. There's a $50 fee per seat. And then, not getting back to them. So you're losing those people. Instead of, you're charging them $100, say, for 2 seats to freaking switch over. Don't charge them. Their chances are they're going to just not take the season tickets after that because they have to pay that fee. Yeah. And for the most part, people don't want to pay an extra fee for what? To change a name on a seat?
That's a thing.
The flexibility has to be there.
They're treating their season ticket members like, hey, you're lucky you got in.
Yeah.
That was 10, 11 years ago. That feeling is gone.
Yeah.
Like, let's look at the product. They're on ice. Oh, their ice show is cool now. Teams have been doing that 10 years before the Jets even got on that train. Look at the product that you're providing and the value that you think people have to drive downtown, pay for parking. Some families have to get babysit. It's a costly night. Give them value for their dollar.
Exactly. Especially, there's a pandemic. There's, everything's going up in cost. You have to stand out and make it appealing for people to show up, pay a few $100s for a night out, more than a few $100s. So yeah, exactly like you're saying, make it better out there, bring the atmosphere back in. Like one of the things that when we had season tickets when they first started here, man, going to a game, like your ears were ringing by the time you left, right? Because it was nonstop.
Yeah, it was
awesome. Nonstop, and it was fantastic. And now you go to a game, and really the only cheering usually happens when they just score a goal,
sitting on their hands.
Yeah, so it's tough, and the Jets have to, like you say, that on ice or around the ice atmosphere has to be better.
Yeah. So. And we're going to talk about the Bombers in comparison. They've made money and their season ticket members feel the loyalty. You don't have that connection with True North Sports Entertainment. It feels like they're in the ivory towers and we're the lowly serfs paying our way to get into this great building. Yeah. Like there's no access to upper management. No, it's ridiculous. Bombers, you can feel like, hey, I can go into the office and talk to Wade Miller anytime I want. You might not be able to. You might look like an asshole, but at least there's that feel of connection to the community. There is no connection with True North.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to try going to Wade Miller's office tomorrow and see if he lets me in.
Sweet. Put the Go Pro Cam on. Make sure that's on. That'll be so awesome. Please live YouTube that challenge. And you nailed it on the head, actually. I just want to, you nailed it on the head. I want to hit this nail on the head. It's corporate. Yeah. You should be going after corporate. That was not a message that was geared toward corporate Winnipeg or corporate Manitoba. No. If you look like some of these markets, they're running at 40% of their season tickets being corporate. Winnipeg is rolling at 15%. Do the work. Don't put it on the fans' shoulders because you're lagging on corporate support. Exactly.
That's where they should be aiming this all. And Chibin did come out in multiple interviews or whatever that he had and said that was what it was kind of for too as well. But you should have led with that more than anything. So
absolutely.
Oh well, learn from it hopefully. But they seem like they haven't learned a lot in the last since 2011. So no.
They've lost touch with their audience.
Yeah.
Their season ticket, all their fans, it just seems like they've lost touch with. It's kind of sad. Continue on with True North and their game day experience. Upcoming street party, the Whiteout party, lower numbers being allowed in with a ticket price of $10. Thoughts on that?
I don't mind the fact that, part of that money is going to United Way. I think half the fee of the $10, $5 is going to United Way. I guess in some way it does add a bit of a controlling factor to it that the first year they did it, I don't know. We were there. We've gone to a few of those and those are fantastic parties, right? Yeah. To be out there, especially after a win, like people weren't going home, it was packed. There was still a band, there was music and everything like that. So it was fantastic, but I don't mind the lower numbers and they sold out quickly, both of those, but I don't know why you're trying to restrict it. Make it as big as you can. Yeah. Like you watch it, even if you want to go up Toronto, right? They show that one a lot. And there's just how many people standing there watching on a big screen, right?
It's crazy.
So
yeah, I'm also fine with the ticket prices. Like True North is making out double on that. Yeah, we're only taking half. You're also doing a tax write-off for the donations.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong here. You're going to make money off the vendors who are paying fees to be there. But you also have costs. You've got to bring the porta potties, or maybe City of Winnipeg's paying for some of that. I don't know what the agreement is.
Yeah.
But I understand starting small to create demand, maybe. You don't want to take up too much space and really piss off the city when there are empty streets there and people are really like, yo, I had to take a bus and it took half an hour extra. So you got to be cautious. I'm okay if it's small. Don't understand the $20 extra one in the plaza with the Dale Howardchuk statue. You have to pay an extra $10. Like, whatever. I just don't get that. You have your fancy fans and then you have your less fancy fans. Give me a break. Come on, what are they doing?
As long if the Jets advance further and further in the playoffs, if they make it bigger and bigger to go with that, then okay, great. Because even right now, the weather's not great. We'll see how it is next week. Outside and at night it's still a little bit cool. So not as many people might go out and to watch a game, but as it gets nice, Winnipeggers would rather be outside than sitting at home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll try to make my way down there. We just talked about the Bombers. Just another shout out to the Bomber organization $4.9 million surplus. That's how you run an organization, my friend.
Yeah, it helps.
In the CFL.
Yeah. Yeah. It helps when you build it, right? You build it properly, you win some games, and people love going out to games. I mean, they had over 28,000 fans average, like most in the league last year.
Yeah.
And it helps. You're winning. I mean, we've been there before when the Bombers aren't winning. The atmosphere sucks in the stadium. No one wants to be there. It's hard to get rid of tickets, never mind having people show up. So
yeah,
it's good to see, and hopefully they can keep building on it. Wade Miller and the crew there have done a fantastic job. And, it's funny because the Jets could kind of learn stuff from that, like we said. So
absolutely. They're listening to their fans, even like the game day experience. I remember I had season tickets in the end zone near the Rum Hut for a couple years, and they weren't that good. They weren't that good.
No.
And people were using the beer snake. It was coming in beside me, and I hated that. Yeah. I hated the beer snake, but they were allowing it because, these guys are having fun. They're not hurting anyone. They're coming back. They're creating a culture of having fun. And now that end zone's pretty hype without a beer snake.
Yeah.
And it's full all the time.
Yeah, you don't need the beer snake to entertain them anymore because the product on the field is great.
Because there's something good to watch.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. You got to provide, what they're getting for their dollar. What do you call it? Value for their dollar.
Yeah.
And look what it pays off in the end. They played the long game, the Bombers did. Jets, let's make money. We're a little short now. Now we're scrambling and we sound like assholes on a marketing idiot.
Yeah, no matter what happened last season, let's raise the price 2 to 5%.
Give me a break.
Did the Bombers raise their season tickets even though they won 2 out of the last 3 years?
Yeah. Hey, did everyone's wages go up 5%?
No.
Everyone? No? Oh, I see. One more shout out. Well, a small early shout out to the BC Lions Domer for wanting to save Simon Fraser. Like, that guy's putting money into the BC football community. Well, what more can you ask for?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Simon Fraser says it wasn't financial, right? It wasn't due to financial reasons. So he's coming out and saying, hey, let's figure out for sure what it is. Then what's the reason? If it's not financial, tell us the truth and let us know.
Absolutely.
Right. And his quote is, we keep hearing it's not financial. It's not this, it's not that. But there's no reason that we can see that the season should be canceled. They should have allowed it to play it out. That's what Doman said. So what is the exact reason? You can't tell us it was too hard. The application process to do it was too hard. You had a season to play this year. There was no reason to cancel right now.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah. So take the support, answer some questions, and figure it out, because you're affecting a lot of people's lives here.
Ugh. I'm gonna get mad. I'm gonna mad. So let's talk about something good. We've had some great lists about great lists of great ofs over the past few weeks. So we're going to continue that fad. We're looking at the greatest free agent signings of the CFL East. We did the West last week, and there's going to be a name that comes in for both here, East and West, the greatest player of all time. I fear that this might be crazy close because, quarterbacks run the East.
Yeah.
So who do you got for Toronto? Let's get it out of the way. Who do you got for Toronto?
Doug Flutie.
It's got to be.
Yeah, no question. Like the 2 Grey Cups back to back in Toronto, once getting there, and he just dominated. He dominated.
Yeah. MVP in both Grey Cups.
Yeah. There's no question who that would be.
I'm going to go with Hamilton now. I got one of Winnipeg's favorites on the Winnipeg staff as one of the assistant GMs, Danny McManus. Had an MVP season in his second year in Hamilton, passed for over 5,300 yards, beat Calgary in the return matchup because he went to the Grey Cup his first year in Hamilton, by the way, that he got signed. Lost in the Grey Cup to Jeff Garcia, your boy. And then he went to the Grey Cup, played Calgary again, Dave Dickinson this time, and he won. So I got McManus.
And is that the last time they won? Or no? Did he win 2?
Why are you being mean to Hamilton fans that?
Just asking. My memory's not that great, so I was just trying to remember.
You acting? Oh, my memory's not that great. Let's move on to Montreal. Who do you got for Montreal?
Again, we're going back with another quarterback, and Anthony Cavillo. Man, he made the Owls into a powerhouse when signing there. And it's funny because when he signed there, you're not even thinking much of that because we saw him play in Hamilton. You're like, oh, he's terrible.
Oh, he's back up to what? Matt Dunnigan and someone bad.
But even when he came in, when he took over, he was just bad. It's like, okay, dude, we'll see you 2 years. You'll be out of this league. But Montreal transformed him, and he transformed Montreal.
Yeah. Imagine leading a receiving core with 4 1,000-yard receivers.
Yeah.
4. 1,000-yard receivers. That's crazy. Arguably one of the best quarterbacks in CFL history.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And he packed that McGill Stadium.
Yeah. And he beat up the Bombers a lot.
We didn't have to remind me of that. Let's talk about Ottawa, the Red Blacks. I got Smiling Hank on this one. Who could it be? Red Blacks short history. We're not going to go into the Rough Rider history. Sorry, we're not going to attach it. We're going to go with the current Red Blacks. And I got Henry Burris. He bought the championship. He bought the chip.
He did, and he was only there for a few seasons, and up and down seasons. He had that one wicked season where they ended up not winning the Grey Cup, and then in a bit of a up and down season, he ended up leading them to the Grey Cup, and they won. And he got over 450 yards. He threw for over 450, 3 touchdowns, and they beat Calgary. So it was a wicked game. So I can't argue with that one either.
For me, he was one of those guys. It's like this guy again, but I didn't hate him like Pinball. I didn't hate him. He's just a nice guy. But it's like, this is going to hurt today.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do another list. What?
I'm not the only one that thinks back to some of these players pinning into the Bombers.
I got you. Let's go with the CFL all-time starting offense in the West. We got a quarterback, a running back, and 2 receivers. Let's start with quarterback. Who do you got?
We've talked about him a few times, and he wasn't in the league forever, but I got to go with Doug Flutie again. He was dominant when he played, and in the CFL, he may not be up there in terms of yardage and all that stuff because he wasn't around long enough. But when he played, he was dominant, and he just led teams to Grey Cups.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a different quarterback. Actually, I'm gonna go with Warren Moon.
He
made an Edmonton.
I didn't even think about Warren Moon.
You didn't think about Warren Moon?
I just thought of Doug Flutie, and I'm like, hey, I'm done.
I can't blame you. He's pretty awesome. But and you can't go wrong. If you're starting a Western team with either Doug Flutie or Warren Moon, you're going to win probably.
Yeah.
It's just he was a historical quarterback, and he's just such an athletic quarterback. If he would have stayed in the CFL, who knows how many yards? Oh my! Well, same as Doug Flutie, guy threw for 6,000.
Yeah, if you think both of those two would have had long, say 10, 15-year careers in the CFL, what kind of numbers would they end up with? Holy.
Imagine. Oh my gosh. And also Ron Lancaster. He's awesome too. Running back. I'll go first. I'm going to go actually with a Rough Rider. I'm going to go with George Reed. He held that rushing title for 29 years until Mike Pringle. Imagine a rushing title for 29 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go George Reed.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, even though he played for the Rough Riders. But he was dominant. He was a wicked running back, and he, like you say, he did it. His longevity was there too. He did it year in, year out. So
yeah, so you're going with George Reed.
George Reed as well. Yep.
All right, that's good. Who do you got for one of the receivers? Even though I know who you got for one of the receivers,
I'll give you this one because we're probably the same on this one for sure. Okay. Milt Stegall. You ever hear of him?
Milt what?
Stegall,
like Stevens. Yeah, no, Milt Stegall. I got you. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there's nothing to argue there. I mean, the guy was dominant, and he never had a quarterback like Flutie or Moon or anything like that. His best ones are basically Kahari Jones and Kevin Glenn, which were good quarterbacks, but nothing superstar, right? And he still made it happen no matter who he was playing with. Yeah,
like Kahari Jones is a good quarterback, but Milt Stegall made him an amazing quarterback.
Yeah.
And he's arguably, he is the greatest receiver of all time. Like you said, like for half of his career, he had a Roman quarterback. Remember back when we played football in the yard? Roman quarterback. That's what he had.
Yeah.
Kevin McDougall, TJ Kopp.
Oh my God. Do we have time for this? Vargas.
Yeah, there's like a good 12. There's a good dirty dozen of those Roman quarterbacks. And respect to those guys for playing professional football. But, it just, Stegall had to play with those quarterbacks.
Yeah. A lot of them never lived up to the hype.
No, sorry. Milt Stegall did all he could for y'all, but you didn't. I'll go with my second receiver next. I got Alan Pitts. I remember being at a club one night, and Marvin Coleman, who played for the Bombers at the time, we were having just talk about football, and I'm like, I'm sure he was like, who's this annoying dude coming to talk to me about football? It's my night off, motherfucker. Any which way. I was like, dude, who's the best receiver in the CFL that you've ever seen? And he's like, Alan Pitts. And that has just stayed with me. And this dude practiced against Mick Stegall. Just the guy broke 2,000 yards. He was a physical freak. He was tall. His catch radius was who knows how long of a wingspan. I take him over some other good receivers. So I'm going to go Alan Pitts.
I'll just do something different. I agree with you on Alan Pitts, but I'll take one other guy and I'll go with G. Simon. But basically, it was between him and Pitts in that one. But because you took Pitts, I'll take Simon. You know, he ends up leading the league at the end of the day once he's all said and done with the most receiving yards. So dominant wide receiver after he came back, especially from the NFL, even with the Bombers there for the one season. But he was good. He was a big kid, and you know, he just got it done. And he was always just dominant on the field.
Absolutely, absolutely. How about Mervyn Fernandez? You remember Mervyn Fernandez?
Oh yeah.
BC. That guy I used to dread when the Bombers. I used to always dread when the Bombers played BC back then with those beautiful orange and white jerseys. But I'll also shout out Mervyn Fernandez on that. Friends,
there's some good ones, man, for sure.
Heck yeah, on and on. Still, friends, put your choices for best quarterback, running back, and 2 receivers from the West. Next week, we'll do the East, see how they compare. See if we match on. We match on a couple. We got some different variety too. So shout out to us. Let's go to hot topics. Man, I'm giving a lot of shout outs just randomly.
No kidding.
It's probably because I forgot to do one later. So I'm just giving them out now. Let's go to hot topics. Here's a question. Should the NHL have a play-in round?
No.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, why do leagues do this? I get it when when COVID years and all that kind of stuff, but you play 82 games. Especially, well, the NHL does. I can't remember what the NBA plays, but you play 82 games to determine who makes the playoffs. Why do you need to play one more to make that decision afterwards? Yeah. It just cheapens the regular season a little bit to me. You know, you play the season for a reason.
Yeah.
Play it.
It's stupid. Hell no, don't do a play-in. It's just because you're going to have more situations like the Dallas Mavericks sitting their players because they can get a good player in the draft.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Like they want to get more of those lottery picks. So why not just sit the stars? We're going to be in a play-in and lose in the whatever first round rather than go after a player that could change our franchise forever. No, forget that play-in. It's stupid. Then you're going to look more foolish with Mark Cuban laughing at the league and sitting people. New Miami Dolphins receiver Robbie Anderson changes his name to Chosen Anderson on social media with a video saying, "Those mistakes are part of my past." You're already laughing. Thoughts on that?
Well, what the heck's he doing? The guy changed his name from Robbie with a Y to Robbie with an IE at the end, and now to Chosen. Yeah. Wait, what's the difference, man? Just go out and play. Because right now you went from actually a very good season to falling off the last couple seasons. Focus on your skill and your position. Get better at that, not your name. Whatever. I mean,
yeah. He set himself up for stupidity.
Exactly.
Chosen. He shouldn't have chosen such a dumbass name. TV analysts are going to be all over this guy. Oh, he chose not to catch the ball. Oh, he chose not to take that tackle. Oh, he's not the chosen one. What an idiot. Like,
dude's going to be out of the league sooner than later if he keeps his stuff up, and that's what his focus is on instead of getting better.
Exactly. He should have chosen to stay with the New York Jets. Jalen Hurts signing. Is that an impact on Lamar Jackson negotiations? Big contract. What are your thoughts on that?
Maybe it's a base for a Lamar Jackson contract. Jalen Hurts he's had one good year. That's a lot of coin. He's got 5-year, $255 million contract, about $51 million a year, 180 guaranteed. Yeah, maybe it's a base, but at least he's taken his team to a Super Bowl. Lamar hasn't played the last couple seasons, a full season, and played in the playoffs really. So, yeah, Lamar could get there, but he needs to show a little bit more on the field. Yeah,
good for Jalen Hurts. Crazy contract. Probably the most in NFL history. 179 in guaranteed money. Lamar Jackson was already offered more than 180 million. So what the heck is he going to do now? What are you going to do?
Yeah, he should have taken that. I mean, it was a good contract, man.
That's why you get an agent. That's why you get an agent. This is what Jalen Hurts' agent did. And the first ever no trade clause in Eagles history. So not a couple of years, they can't be like, oh, sorry, we're going to take half your salary to cut and then you're gone. No. No trade clause.
Very good deal for him.
Yeah. Shout out to I can't remember her name, but shout out to the female agent. Man, I can't use shout outs because I don't got one. If you were a Penguins fan, who's your top candidate for the Penguins job as GM?
Yeah, I don't know a lot about GMs out there, but the one that kind of stuck out to me when I was looking around was, Jason Botterill. He was with the Penguins before as assistant GM, went to Buffalo as their GM. It didn't work out in Buffalo in terms of wins, But the stuff that he added, or the players that he added to Buffalo, have made a big impact now. He drafted Rasmus Dahlin, Matthias Samuelsson, Dylan Cousins, Casey Middlestad, and so on. Traded for Tage Thompson, who's turned into a star right now in the league. So it wasn't there right away for him, but he got guys ready, and now he's helping build Seattle, who made the playoffs in the second season. So I wouldn't mind seeing him going back to Pittsburgh and building off what he kind of left behind when he left there.
Yeah, I got Jason Botterill. He's already in Pittsburgh, and he's a Winnipegger, so I'm going to cheer for him any which way. You got a shout out?
Maybe they take Kyle Dubas after the Leafs lose in the first round.
I don't care about that.
Anyways,
trash. You got a shout out?
I'm going to shout out Valor FC, who kicked off their season yesterday in the Canadian Premier League. 2-0 win over York United. So good luck to them this season. Get out to a game, show some support.
And in the words of LeVar Burton, in the meantime and in between time, that's not LeVar Burton. That's a dude from Calgary Stampede Wrestling. And in the words of LeVar Burton, we'll see you next time.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.